And a big right hand again from Frankie Lucas, and he's down this time once again. Goes into a neutral corner again, and I don't think the Zambian's going to get up from this one. Frankie Lucas, the man from St Vincent, dropped by the England team here, boxing for the island of his birth, has won a gold medal, and he goes over and is hugged by his second. I've come for gold, I'm going to get gold, he told me, and gold he has got.
This was a great piece, just a smart idea from the onset. Working that, real true story with that great footage that we get to watch, and then having those dramatized bits, just really came together in a smart and interesting way. And I just enjoyed the marriage of the elements there, and just a really well produced and performed and written piece. That's definitely worth checking out.
Does a really good job of using the real life story of Frankie Lucas to convey the real world situations of race, prejudice, and tensions between a community of people, especially in the world of sports. The film does a great job of exemplifying how African American stereotypes can affect both a community and an individual as a whole. Throughout the film, Frankie's desperately trying to break from the stereotype of being looked at as this primal beast just because of the color of his skin, when every time he meets people on the bench, originally he was very warm, kind, and happy, but being pelted with these labels of being a savage, eventually he just, by the end of the film, was worn down and tired and jaded. And it's very cautionary of what labels can do to people, how they can affect people. And I think the film did a phenomenal job portraying that warning.
It was a really cool exploration of history and sports through the use of imagined dialogue. I thought it worked really well in terms of conveying the story, and I thought the footage of news footage that was included in the middle worked really well to kind of paint a picture of what the time period was like. Really interesting to kind of see the characters interact on the bench, kind of in the historic moment and then in the present day, and how the sort of character has evolved over time. Really cool also how the actor switched between the two accents or dialects. I thought that was like a really, really cool choice.
I really like Going for Gold. I really like the idea of the bench through time, having him sit on the bench at different stages in his life and his career, and coming back to that as like a cornerstone. I think that is a great narrative technique, because we see him grow and change, and like the bench stays the same. I think that like the talking, I like the idea of these are imagined conversations, so it's like he's like a mouthpiece for like the filmmaker and like the writer or whatever. And I think that was cool. Like it reminded me almost like Forrest Gump a little bit. I also like how this film touched on how the media and society treats the black athlete, both just around the world, and I really like how they touched on in Britain, which is different from America. The racism is different. Me being American, I never even thought about that, so that was a cool, interesting new perspective to hear. So yeah, and I think the performances, with a film like this where it's two people talking on a bench, you gotta ride the performances, and I think like you ride or die on the performances, and I think Frankie really carried and like really delivered on their performances. So overall, I really, really rocked with it. It was a good job. Great concept, great execution.
If you are a boxing enthusiast, I would recommend you watching Going for Gold. It is part biographical, using old footage, and also part fictional, using these imagined conversations. Featuring this prominent British boxer, Frankie Lucas. I did not know about him prior to this. I did not know about boxing prior to this film. But I can see how much love, how much care and consideration went into crafting these imagined conversations, and how you can really see how the team put in the effort to contrast the struggles he faced as a black man in the UK. So I mean, during the Boxing Day, was still, staying true and having the integrity. It was a very charming film, and it, once again, if you love boxing, or you just trying to learn, or if you're just someone who likes to learn more about stories that people are not telling or not sharing about, I think this is a film for you.
Really resonated with a lot of the messages that he was talking about, saying, I have peace in my heart. I've never hurt anybody. I've never killed anybody. I don't have any rage. And yet that's all that people and the media are depicting me as this savage, as he says. And he says, it's so wrong because they're not even talking about my talent. They're not talking about all of the years and decades of hard work that I've put in to bring myself where I am. And they just don't want to acknowledge or recognize his greatness. And I have such empathy and respect for him to keep trying and keep fighting all of these years, even when he's getting looked over and passed over so many times. His spirit is just so resilient. And it was really, really lovely to hear him speak on it. And I also really appreciated him describing the West Indian Christmases, because it just reminds me of my own Christmas memories and stuff with my family, and all of the food and the preparations and everything like that. This was just a really beautiful and thoughtful piece, and I very much enjoyed watching it.